Okay, another quick rant about the driver shortage, and why not? Because it's not going to go anywhere anytime soon. How to deal with this? Easy, really, really, really easy. You look at a number of different occupations, jobs where there isn't a shortage, where there's actually people queuing up to do those jobs. For example, a hedge fund analyst, a real estate agent, well, perhaps a diversity and equality officer or some such. And you find some of these jobs, and you can look at the conditions people are working under in those jobs that people want to do. And what you then do is you apply that to drivers, and you find what people like at work, and you give drivers that. So better pay is always good. People, especially when out of necessity. I mean, I have to be honest. You can't really work a 9 to 5. Well, certainly not do my job. It's I can't get to Germany and back. But in an 8-hour day. Sorry, it's going to take a few. So you balance that with perhaps better pay. Okay, fair enough. You look at interesting one, privacy. Okay, there are lots of companies. I would say the majority of large companies have a cab camera facing the driver. Okay, it's creepy, if nothing else. And it doesn't happen in other jobs. People don't sit at their desk with a spy camera facing them. And why would they? Okay, well, you might say, well, drivers' jobs are more consequential, that a moment's inattention, they can cause an accident, So, okay, there are other jobs that are very consequential. So what about every time a minister or a CEO or a senior management person has a private meeting, they have a camera facing them with a stranger recording it? Because those are consequential. All of those things are consequential. Every meeting at Davos, every meeting amongst the high and mighty, every meeting between a businessman and his bank manager, anybody looking for finance, these are all consequential. They could all be life and death. In fact, every single meeting should be videoed. In the same way, because drivers are videoed. I mean, I don't mean a video facing forward. Let's be clear about this. A video facing the driver, okay, recording his every move, okay. There are other jobs that are even more consequential than drivers who are not videoed. So if drivers should be videoed, those jobs should be. No, we're not going to do that. So no jobs are going to be. Conditions. Do you have to pee in a bottle at your workplace? Does your boss keep you? Is that a situation you have to face? Or for number two, I'll leave that to your imagination. Let's not go down that road. But it happens because the facilities in Great Britain are crap, absolutely rubbish, and fill up, are very expensive, have no security. The only time I had stuff robbed from a lorry was in the British Motorway Services, right underneath the CCTV cameras. It's a fat lot that they were doing in that situation, and right where some of the staff were, overnight staff, and I was still robbed. The truck was the stuff was robbed from the trailer. Let's fund the decent truck stops. Let's give them some advantages. Let's give them planning permission. Let's punish the councils who fail to maintain things like lay-bys, free parking areas, which can be terrible, just absolutely awful places. I'm just thinking all these stories that I could give you where things drivers have to do and most other workers do not, and you can find other videos on YouTube, you can find tweets, you can find plenty of things. Newspaper articles are running stories about this. But none of this is rocket science. If you give people decent conditions, they want to do the job. Look at the jobs that people want to do. There are decent conditions in those jobs. And it will afford drivers a bit of dignity. And I think dignity is... drivers are important. Over the lockdowns, we were key workers. That we were amongst a small group of occupations that kept the country running. There are lots of occupations that don't, that have better working conditions. So it's not rocket science to find. What would you like? What do you like when you're working? How would you want to be treated? That's how drivers want to be treated, and it's not. None of this is difficult. There is a thing where particularly smaller hauliers struggle to find, even if they have the will, or many of them do, to give their drivers better conditions. They are constantly being driven down on their freight rates by the big logistics companies and the big retailers, the supermarkets and so on, who always want to get more and more and more. I think we need to realise that if we need drivers, we need to pay in different ways, as we do with other occupations, as you know, the NHS do with managers or anybody else. They can't get the staff, they have to improve pay and conditions and balance the two, and where conditions can't be good, the pay should be exemplary. How is this difficult? And will it cause inflation? Well, all of those other occupations cause inflation. Hedge fund analysts and estate agents need to be paid. Where do you think the money's coming from? Okay, it comes from productive activity. Just because truck drivers are closer to that activity doesn't mean they should be penalised. It should be the opposite way round, surely. It makes no sense to say, oh, well, this PR consultant for Tesco's, we're going to pay him a six-figure salary for doing marginally important work for the bottom line of the company. But the lorry, but that goes on your on the price of your loaf of bread. It goes on the price of your milk. The executive pay and professional pay also contributes to inflation, and for decades those occupations have been very, very well rewarded. And maybe it's time a bit of a rebalancing goes on, because if lorry drivers are key workers, they should be rewarded and treated and thought of as such. I could go on, but I'm not. So rant over. Bye.